This is an interview with Neal Ringvall at the Hampton Inn, Tarrytown, New York, February 6, 2003, approximately 8:50 a.m. Interviewers are Mike Russert and Wayne Clark. Could you give me your full name, date of birth, and place of birth, please?
Full name is Neal Theodore Ringvall. I was born on April 25th, 1919, in Valhalla, New York, which is the next town above here. Yeah.
What was your pre-war educational background?
Had about the equivalent of 2 years in college, I guess, with all the different schools. But I worked as a well driller. I worked as let me think, what else did I do? God almighty. I worked on a farm when I was a kid, I guess. And worked in a factory where they made, getting prepared for the war as a machinist, yeah. So that's my extent.
All right. Where were you, and what was your reaction when you heard about Pearl Harbor?
I was already married. I got married in 1941. I lived at home, so we were in the living room when we heard the news about Pearl Harbor. But I had already had a notice that I was going to be drafted. So I got the notice one day to report to Mr. Goodspeed, who was the head of the draft board. And I was walking down Mamaroneck Avenue in White Plains, and I met this dentist friend of ours who was the head of the Lions Club. And he said, I want to know how you're doing and so on. And I said, well, I'm doing fine, but come Tuesday, I'll probably belong to Uncle Sam. He says, why the hell don't you try for the cadets? He says, we're sponsoring cadets. Well, I said, hell, I've been out of school since 1936. So he says, get down and try it. So he gave me a paper, and I went down to Church Street, and took the physical in the morning, and then the other test when I came home. I was a private in the Air Force. That was the end of December of '41, I guess. Yeah. And,
okay, so you went in December of '41.
That's, yep.
Why don't you tell us about your basic training, where you went, and
well,
where were you inducted, and from there?
Let me think now. First off, they swore me in the Army and then put me on 30-day leave before we even got started. And I did that 3 times. So by the time I got down to Maxwell Field, it was in May of '42. And so then I spent from there to pre-flight. And I went down, I had qualified for either, I wanted to be a pilot, and qualified for pilot, bombardier, and navigator. And let's see, then they sent me to Carlstrom Field after, I don't know, we had 6 or 8 weeks, I've forgotten now. Carlstrom Field down in Florida for primary flight training. So I had about, I don't know, 20-some hours, I guess. But they decided I'd probably kill more Americans than I would Germans, I guess, the way I was flying there. So, so that was the end of that. I got washed out of, and they sent me to navigation school out in Monroe, Louisiana. And I was there at, different places in between. I went to Monroe, and then I graduated from Monroe in what was it? August of August of, had to be 41, 42, 43, I guess, yeah. And so then I went from there out to Bixfield, Texas, and we trained as a crew then with B-24s, and I forgot to bring that picture along too, damn it. Anyhow, so I met a crew out there, and we put our full training out there, and then they told us to go up to Tucson to pick up an airplane. We were going to head for Karachi, India. So we all went up to Tucson to pick up the airplane, and we were there about a week, I guess. And next thing you know, they said to pick up your bags and get down to the station. You're on a train. And the next thing we knew, we're in Newport News on the East Coast in an infantry replacement depot. And I figured, oh boy, I'm in big trouble. So we were there for a while, and then as we were there, that what's the name of that black outfit, the 100th or whatever it is, that went to Italy?
Tuskegees.
Yeah, they come through there, and they were, I don't want to tell you, those boys were spick and span. They were well trained. And as I told Alan one time, we were walking down one of the streets in Newport News with I had two buddies that were Southerners, and this, what the hell was his name? Davis, I think his name was.
Ben Davis.
Ben Davis, yeah. He was amazing, and he came walking down, and they looked like they hadn't seen him, you know. I saw him, and I gave him a salute. We got about 10 feet down, and he said, "Lieutenants, come back." He says, "You see that thing on my shoulder?" He said, "That's what you salute, not my black face, and don't you forget it," he said. So that's my experience with but I don't remember seeing him over in Italy. We went from Newport News. We wound up on a boat instead of flying over, and
you went as a crew.
Yeah,
Still.
had the whole boatload, I guess, and nobody knew where we were going. But navigators, we had sextants and things, so we figured out. Yeah, after they were zigzagging, and we spotted in the Gibraltar when we went through there, so we had an idea where we were going, and wound up in Iran.
Did you go across in convoy or single ship?
No, we went with a single ship too. It was a brand new Navy transport. It was a pretty fast boat, and
9 o'clock a.m.
that's smart, baby. It keeps me alive. Yeah, and so we got into Iran, and another infantry replacement depot, and we figured, oh boy, they're working on us. But we were there then for, I guess that was January by that time. Let's see, we was in January. And we started up one day we were there about a month, I guess. And then next thing you know, we're on a C-47, and we landed at Foggia in Italy in the 15th Air Force. And so, let me think now. So yeah, then we started combat. I flew 18 combat missions there. But I lost my crew. They got hurt and killed and one thing and another. So they, I don't know what the reasoning, but they made another crew. They formed a crew and sent us up to the 8th Air Force, and sent a crew from the 8th Air Force down to the 15th.
Now, while you were in Italy, you flew B-24s?
Yeah, no. That's the thing, I forgot to tell you. We wound up in 17s.
Oh.
The pilots had never had a day, behind the stick of a 17, so we didn't fly with our own crew for a while till they got acclimated to the different plane. And meanwhile, I'd lost several of the members already. One thing and another.
Did you have the same plane all the time?
No, we didn't down in Italy. We made, I brought a little pad with me, I'll show you later on, where we went to the Ploesti, those oil fields up there, and up Budapest, and all the way up in that part.
Could you describe your missions into Ploesti?
Yeah, they were pretty hairy. But the B-24s that had gone on before us, they're the ones that got clobbered because they tried to fly them in low level, and that didn't work. Mm-hmm. But no, it was a rough mission, but we got back, so that was a good one.
Did your plane suffer any flak damage, or?
Oh yeah. Often found holes in the side, and I brought a piece to show you to you. So anyhow, we survived Italy, and then they told us to report to some colonel up in England and Scotland, really, upon arrival. But they never told us what dates, you know, the Army, just by the first available transportation. So we figured, hey, there's no date on this thing, so we might as well do a little sightseeing. We caught a ride down to Cairo and looked around there, and it went from Cairo to Tunis, and from Tunis all the way, hopped across Africa, back to Casablanca, and we had quite a time. We got to Casablanca and we were broke. So we finally got to Casablanca and told our story. One of you bastards, he said, he gave me a C-47 and said, here, you can navigate this thing up to Scotland. I can't think of the name of the town either. And we get up to this colonel. He looked at the paper, he says, where the hell have you bastards been? Well, it doesn't say anything about when to report, just to report. He says, okay, wise guy. Next day we were in combat in another, in the 8th Air Force, yeah. So,
what did you fly in the 8th, B-17s?
B-17s. I never flew a mission in 24s, never.
Oh, okay.
No, but that's it. So,
What was your assignment in the 15th Air Force? What bombs group and squadron do you?
well, it's on that, I think it's on the 353rd Squadron, the 301st group. 353rd Squadron, yeah. That's the one from England, though, yeah.
That's the England one.
Well, we can get that later, I guess. When you were in England, how many missions did you fly?
20 from there, yeah.
So you had a total of 38 missions.
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
What were your primary missions while you were in England?
Well, I made it. I went to Berlin, I went to Hamburg, and I went to Munich, and then a lot of in-between preparation for D-Day. I flew twice on D-Day in support of the troops, and a lot of airfields and things around France, and yeah, that's it. I'd say Hamburg, Munich, and Berlin. And where else did I go to? I mean, I can always remember one of my pilot buddies, you know, they used to, not Munich, but Hamburg, that, you know, that was a big oil refineries and stuff. And he said that thing smoked for months and months. And the weather was so bad, he said he used to, you know, up to 20,000 or better, and he'd go flying west again, and they'd see a cloud of smoke sticking up to the guys up through the clouds, and they hang a left. He said, heading for home, you know. Yeah.
Now, how long was your typical mission? I mean, was it 7 hours, 8 hours?
Well, some of those in, like Berlin was a long one. Stettin, I think, was another long one. 7 or 8 hours anyhow, at least, yeah, yeah. I think 1 or 2 were longer than that, I guess. Yeah.
Did you ever have any missions that you were in danger of going down where your engines stopped? Or
oh yeah, we got a rocket across top of our wing, and there was a long strip in England. I can't think where that was now, but it was, you know, it ran east and west, and I think it was a mile long, just for that purpose. And when we landed and hit down, and the wheels hit, the wing fell off. Because as long as it, you know, it was secure on the bottom, but they had carved a piece out of the top, and so that was.
What were you hit with?
I think like a rocket, or I don't, something just blew the whole top of the wing off, you know, right over the, and we lost an engine. One of those is laying down the bottom of the Baltic Sea somewhere. It caught fire, and we couldn't put the fire out, so we dove down from 20,000 down to about 5,000, and pulled up quick, and the engine fell off.
Huh.
And we got back. And but then of course we had, you know, we always got some flak holes, and we had a tail gunner, fellow there, Galloretto, who's from California, remember, Los Angeles, and he spent a week painting a sign. He was Los Angeles city limit. You know, it was a real nice arrow pointing to the tail, you know. And by God, just got the sign made, and that he got a direct burst of flak in that sign, and raised hell with it, and just missed him by an inch. But the only thing that bothered him was they ruined his sign. He didn't think about it. Yeah. So that's about it, I guess. I don't.
Did you have any nose art on your plane?
We had our plane we called our planes. Let's say we didn't have any nose art on ours. But we called it Fuddle's Folly. We had a bombardier, Fred McGovern. Fred was an old artillery man, so he was an older man, and he finally got into the Air Force. But Fred was also a drunk. So, and when he sat over that bomb site, the one place he never wanted to get shot is you know where. So one night when they had a party on the base, Fred went out and he stole 10 flak suits. And you know those things weigh 40 pounds apiece. And he piled them underneath so they're about this thick. And he sat there like a yogi, right on top of these damn things. And we were supposed to go to Berlin this next day, and we had a full load of bombs, full load of gas, and we started to taxi down the runway, and the damn thing wouldn't rotate. So before we hit the end of the runway, they were able to stop it, and they come back, and the guy with the weights and measures come back, and he couldn't figure it out. And then he found 400 pounds of stuff in the nose he didn't figure out. So they were going to crucify Mac. So our group had already gone, and we fell in behind some other group, and they told us to get up there and we'll talk to you later, So as it worked out, they were carrying, we had these big blockbusters in ours, and they had these little what the hell do they call them?
Incendiaries.
Incendiaries, yeah. And they were looking for targets of opportunity, and they were dropping them on airfields and, hangars and stuff. And Max said, geez, I got to find something to drop these big ones on. So there was a hangar down there. He hit that thing, and Jesus, it was the damnedest explosion you ever saw. What we didn't know, there was a storage for all the Germans' ammunition in preparation for the invasion. So when this thing went off, I'm surprised they didn't hear it back in Berlin. But, so we came back, and we had run out of gas fiddling around, so we had to land on another airfield in south of England. There happened to be a Polish volunteers, and there was a fighter group, and they were the maddest guys I'd ever seen in my life. They hated Germans with a passion, and I can still see they had this guy that was head of that squad. He had been shot down, and he had a cast on his leg, and they hoisted him up, and still he flew. And they were supposed to fly 50 sorties, and then have a couple of weeks off. Well, they used to fly 50, go to town and get drunk for 2 days, and start again on Monday, But we got back to the base after that, and we thought, sure, we were going to get crucified. Well, when they found out it was a storage dump, then we were heroes all of a sudden, and we didn't know that the damn thing was there.
Now, who named the plane Fuddle's Folly?
Okay, I think it was a consensus of all the... Fuddle was the bombardier, a fuddler, so I think we had a meeting or something, and we decided to name it after him. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was just going to ask something.
Did you keep in contact with the fellows after the war?
Well, Mac is still alive, McGovern. Yeah, I talked to him not too long ago. He's older than I am. He's, 87, I guess, yeah. No, he was a real Army. I should have brought a picture of him, too. Damn it, he was as straight as a die. He stayed in the reserves, and I went down to see him at Wright-Patterson. He lives right on that base in Dayton. I went down there a few years ago, and he took us through the museum, and we had a great time with him. But no, he's all right. But that's about it.
What was your primary base in England?
It's a place called Thurley at Bedford, England. That's this place I told you with Alan's folks' mother was. And no, it was a nice base. But when you think of it, I wasn't over it. My whole tour in Europe, from the time I left the States in January of 43, or 40, yeah. No, I left in 44, I guess, yeah, to go overseas. I went to Africa, I went to Italy, went to England, and I was back in the States by the end of July of 44. So that was, it wasn't very long.
So just in that, basically 6 months, you went into 38 combat missions.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. God, it's funny when you think back.
Did you ever wear your flak suit?
Oh, you're damn right. Yeah. You know, you could see it ahead. You know, when you're flying, you could see that black clouds, and you knew damn well what was in it. So that you put it on. Yeah. And of course, you always wore your harness for your parachute too, because we had the snap strap on. You know, and you had that pretty close. Yeah.
Did you have the chest pack parachute or the back?
No, I had you know, we had a chest pack that you could snap right on. Yeah. Generally, the pilots and so on, they had seat packs because they sat on them, you know, so they could jump out of there. But most of us had chest packs. Yeah. Yeah. They're yeah.
Did you ever come under attack by fighters?
Oh yeah, yeah. Many a time. Now you can almost hear the gunners chattering away there. And we had guns too. Even the Navigator, I had a gun, a 50 caliber on either side of the nose. I was one of the older ones. And then of course I had 50 calibers in the nose and a top turret with. I think we had 10 guns. 2 in the nose, 4 in the nose. 2 was 6. The radio went 7, 9. Yeah, it had 10. It had 11 with it. Had a turret in the back, and not a turret, but a twin 50 in the back.
So you had an older B-17?
Ours was an older one, yeah.
So yours was painted the
We
brownish, greenish brown instead of
That's
silver?
it. Okay, and you know what happened with that wing that fell off? You know, they used all the other planes for salvage, so we wound up with one camouflage wing and one silver one. And the damn plane never flew right after that. It was always heavy on the painted side, you know. The pilots were always grumbling about the thing, yeah. But hey, it got it back. That's a talent.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
When you reached the States, were you discharged or?
No, there again, you know, I'm not lucky sweet. I can tell you right now. They sent us to. I was 44 now. See though. So they sent us down to Atlantic City for 2 weeks of rest and recuperation. So they said you could. And I lived in White Plains, right? You know, so. And I got down there, and my wife was about ready to have a baby almost any day. And I got down there, and the fellow that was head of the athletics was a fellow I grew up with in Valhalla. So we were talking. He says, "What do you know? How long? You're supposed to? You're allowed to go home like Saturday and come back Monday." And you know, we're talking. I told him about my wife going to have a baby. He says, "Don't worry about it." He said, "When your papers come to the top, you stuck them down the bottom." So I was on there a month. I was home long enough till September when my wife had the baby. You know, thanks to him. And then they sent me out to Rapid City, South Dakota, as a navigator instructor. You know, on the crew. You know, and so that out in the black, and that was a good move too, because it was, you know, and we were there then from you know, on the end of 44, all of beginning of 45, and you know, things were slowing down. So I had my wife with me and my daughter, and you know, geez, I lived like a king. I tell you the truth, I was a lucky Swede, I know that. But I met a fellow out there that was Bob Larson, and he and his wife and baby, they were about the same class as we were, and we only just got settled in. We were allowed to have an apartment in town, you know, as long as we did our duty and come in to work when we were supposed to. And we'd been there about 2 days, and the CEO called us in. He says, "You know, I got bad news for one of you birds." He said, "We just got orders from the department that they want a navigator." He says, I know you just got here." He said, "So I'm not going to pick." He said, "I'll flip." He said, "Whoever loses goes." So we flipped, and he lost. So we were ferrying the parts for the atomic bomb. they needed a navigator with his 47 to pick the pieces all over the country and fly them back to Alamogordo, you know. And so that's what he wound up doing it. But I missed that detail. So, and we were there then till that summer of 45, I guess, yeah. And they were just going to send us out to the Pacific on B-29s, and then they dropped that bomb, and 2 weeks later I was home. That was it.
What was your reaction to the atomic bombs?
Well, I thought it was necessary. I have had many a good argument since that time. When I saw what what they would have gotten into had they not bombed that place. I've been called a killer by a few. I had a minister friend, she used to call me. I said, damn, you're just damn lucky that they did drop it, or you'd be preaching somewhere else, you know. Yeah.
What was your reaction to the death of President Roosevelt?
That was quite a shock. Yeah, you know. In fact, I can remember, I was in a bowling alley in Rapid City, and they announced it, and we thought, Jesus, who the hell is Harry Truman? What does he know running? But as it turned out, he turned out to be a damn good president, you know. So, no, that was funny.
Did you ever join any veterans organization?
Yeah, I belonged to the Legion for a long while, you know, and most of those birds disappeared. So, and I'm in the VFW now down in the town of Silver Lake.
How about the 8th Air Force Association?
Yeah, I belong to that too, and
You belong to the 15th. Do they have an association?
You know, it's funny. It's all everything's in the 8th Air Force when you think of it. I never have anything to do with it. It's funny how things go.
Yeah.
You know, you figure it's such a short time with the 15th and the 8th too, for that matter. I flew my first mission in Italy on the 17th of March, I think. And I think I was in the early part of May when we got shipped out to England. And then I flew England probably in the early part of May, and then I think it was the 27th of July. It was my last mission in England. So it was almost every other day. And as I say, we flew twice on D-Day. And yeah.
So on D-Day you were credited with 2 missions?
Yeah. Yep. No, we took.
Whoops, I'm sorry.
No, I think we took off in the morning at 6 o'clock. We went to briefing. I can always remember that. The colonel that was briefing us, he said, "Don't worry about getting shot down over the channel today, fellas. You can walk home." And by God, you damn near could, because it was so many boats and so many. God, you never saw so many planes and boats in all your life. The C-47s were towing double gliders. You know, they were coming and going, and the water was just, I think you actually could have walked from one to the other all the way across. So, that was, for us it was a short mission, an easy one. It took us longer to form up than it did to make the mission, actually. And then we came back and we flew another one the same day. But
both of these were basically
tactical, more
tactical.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Did you ever make use of the GI Bill when you returned?
I did for a while. I was studying to be an optician for a while, and they found out I was a better mechanic and I was an eyeglass man, so they figured they were wasting their money, I guess. So.
Did you ever use the 5220 Club?
Yes, I did. And that was part of that.
Yes.
While I worked for the American Optical Company. It's funny, again, how you meet people. I'd been drilling wells and stuff after I got out, and we were slow for a while. I'd walked through this alley in White Plains, and then some guy poked his head out the window. He says, "Hey, Ole, where the hell do you think you're going?" And they used to call me Ole, the Swede, And so he says, "Well, why don't you come in here and learn how to be an optician?" It was the American Optical Company. It was a big one. But, So I went in there for a while, and we actually, at that place, you made the blanks. You'd get the blanks from the factory. They were half-inch thick, and they had the different molds, and you'd actually grind them and polish them and so on. But they had some old machines that were always breaking down, and I was fixing them. And I guess they figured I was more valuable, doing less damage there, and I wouldn't make some of these eyeglasses. Yeah.
Did you ever see any USO shows?
Oh, you better believe it. Yeah, I have, and that's another thing I should have brought too. We had this. I used to have a little band when we were young, a hillbilly band, if you will. We played here in White Plains on the radio, and we used to play all around. And so I could play the guitar and the accordion and one thing and another. And we went over on the boat when we went. This little gal by the name of, what the hell was her name? Esther Billard, I think her name was. Little bitty thing, but she played the accordion and she was good. And so I found a guitar, and we used to play together all the time, you know. And I got over to Africa. I met her over there somewhere, and one day I come out of from Italy, come back from a mission, and that was the ambulance and the CO and Esther. So I didn't have to go to interrogation that day. They were having a party, so they grabbed me out, and we all three had a hell of a party. So, and then several times in the States, Bob Hope, he was down in Louisiana. He was good, doggone it. He put on a show first that was on the air, so it was a little, a little less. Because his forte was needling the big shots, and the GIs loved that, because he'd find out the colonel what his name was, and he'd always find something that, to spike him a little bit, and then after that half an hour, then they'd come on with a show. And a lot of things went on there that she would be verboten, over the air. But he was great, and I saw him in England too. So, yeah, he was quite a guy.
Okay, why don't you show us the jacket that you brought with you?
Oh, yeah, all right.
Okay, can you show us the 15th Air Force?
This is the 15th Air Force.
Just like that, and I can zoom in on it.
Can you?
Okay, and does it say anything, or?
This is, what they call us, I think they call that Fightin' Bitin', is that one. That was the logo on that one, Fightin' Bitin'.
Okay. And that's your name tag right above it?
Yeah, yeah.
And your whistle, tell us about the whistle.
This was from the 8th Air Force. This is, the English gave us this to blow it if you got shot down over the channel, and they had the air sea rescue boats, and they gave us one of these things to blow.
You were a first lieutenant?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then the other insignia.
This one, where the hell are you? This is the one.
Okay, and that's with the 8th Air Force?
Yeah.
And what unit is that?
That's, oh God, Ringvall, come on. 30, Jesus. You'll have to wait a minute on that one. I think he's got that. It's in there somewhere, Alan. I brought it. What the hell is wrong with I'm telling you, fellows, you're dealing with a dead brain.
And the amazing thing is the jacket still fits you.
Well, yeah, that's being very kindly. Yeah. I wouldn't want to take a deep breath or something.
It's the 306 group. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, that 306 is a group, and God, I can't think of the squadron now. What the hell is the matter with me? Doesn't it say that?
Yeah, 367.
367. Yeah,
That's
it.
the one with the logo, the clay pigeons.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you want to have a look at this? This is that's him. Some crew members did that.
You see
This is
Okay, the 8th Air Force yearbook.
Yeah, that's the 30. That's
and this is you.
Okay, hold it right there.
See.
How's that? Looks like somebody drew on the picture. Is that true,
Well,
or
no,
did they
that's-
draw on you?
They drew on me. That's the way. When you, some of the guys on the ground, you know, they had a paintbrush and they put 34 instead of 38 on it, but I didn't complain. I wasn't going to have them race it off.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I think, yeah, this, there may be, I don't know.
Picture of the plane in there somewhere, isn't it?
Well, there's not much of a shot to apply. I can't see it well. My glass, I think it's a 17 in there somewhere. Up on the corners, say our ship or something on that.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
This
Where
is
your
their-
thumb is?
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah,
This plane here. You can see the name,
yeah.
Fuddle's Folly, and
Yeah.
the...
Oh, oh. Okay, that's it right there. Okay.
Do you have any other things with you?
Yeah, we do.
have
Here's that, what the hell is this one? This is a little booklet that I used to carry with me to keep track of the missions, you know. Here they are down in Italy.
Keep it back farther because it gets blurry.
You need to have a decipher it, but, no, I had it with me every day, every time I went.
Okay,
And then,
got it.
let's see. Yeah, this is the ones from England, see?
Okay. Bring it back that way farther.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Let's see what.
yeah.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Now, here's what I was telling you about. This is a piece of a V1. You know, the one.
Yes.
I was walking down the street in London, and we heard this pop, 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 and it stopped, and you had 15 seconds to, you know, it took before it hit the ground. And we ducked into a bank alcove, and this thing hit on the other side of the street, on the back of a building, and this thing flew over and landed at my feet, and it was red hot. When it hit, you can see it. See, and these are a couple of pieces of flak that I took out of my vest. Yeah.
Okay, can you
Yeah.
hold them back farther?
Yeah.
They were in your flak vest?
Yeah, yeah, I dug them out of my,
Wow.
and you can see if you look at these things closely, the part of the machine, you see where it's
Oh,
machined?
yes, yeah.
See,
I don't know if you can
like part of the,
see the milling on it.
yeah,
Oh, yes, okay.
yeah,
Got it.
no,
Well, you were lucky.
you better believe it, I tell you, the luck of the squareheads, I tell you that. But, no, this thing, imagine. I should have brought along too. I had when that bomb hit on the back, there were things fluttering down through the air, and one of the things that fluttered down was a Russian bill, you know, like a, I don't know, $20 bill or dollar bill or whatever it was. But the damn thing was about this big, and that came fluttering down. But it was from 1914. That somebody had it stashed away in the house, and it just blew up with the house, I guess. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, would you like to be in the video?
No, that's
so
fine,
we
that's
can-
fine.
Yes, what?
Because you have a connection, and you
Yes.
Yeah,
explain
well, it was
connection.
amazing.
Go sit next to,
Come over here, son. They,
didn't
It's-
think you'd be on camera, huh?
No, I wasn't expecting that.
it's strange, though, you know, Alan, my
Why
neighbor.
don't you introduce him
Oh, I'm
on
sorry.
camera when he sits down?
Oh, my God.
You can do the introduction.
He's got all the hair in the family. This is what, damn cheapskate, he won't part with any of the.
No.
And Alan, this is Alan Drury from England, and he's related to the people next door, who I've known for 20 years or more. But a few years ago, I don't know how long it is now, Alan, 3 maybe, is it 4?
4 years, I think.
He came over and we got talking, and I was kidding him about his English accent, and I said, hell, I was over in a place called Bedford. Bedford, he said, that's where my mother came from. And one thing another, and his mother was on the airfield, and she used to tell him as a kid, you know, about the planes taking off and landing, and so then he said to me in a kind of a sly way, he said, "You sure you didn't leave something over in England?" He said, "I'm innocent."
A delayed action bomb.
No, I'm innocent. So I got counting on my fingers. He's too damn young. I said,
Yeah, my mother used to tell me many times that when the bombers were taking off to go on a mission, she would be in the back garden and she'd be waving to them, and they'd be wagging their wings as they flew over. So there was a lot of activity around the airfield at that time. But she often used to tell me about that, and it was quite amazing that we should happen to meet. It was meant to be, really.
Yes, What is the airfield like today?
Well, it's practically gone now. There's just a little bit left, and they have a memorial up which states that, you know, the what it was used for and who was there. But there were a lot of very fond memories, and funnily enough, it's really over the last few years that interest has been revived again, because for a while nobody really wanted to talk about it, and it was tended to be forgotten about. But now it seems to have been brought back to life again, and there seems to be quite a lot of interest once more.
Now, Neal, have you gone back there?
yes, I think it was 1987 now. I had been watching TV. I think it was his name, Charles Carroll. No, it used to be on Sunday morning,
yes,
I think.
Yes.
And
Charles Osgood, one of them.
well, yeah,
One of them.
I think it was '86 though, because my happened to catch it, and they were showing, they were dedicating this monument, and I said, for God's sakes, that's my airfield, you know. So I called down to New York on. I said, is there any chance of getting a copy of that tape? So whoever was said, sure, you $150 and $25 to mail it up to White Plains. I said, by Jesus, you need it worse than I do. So as it worked out, I had a daughter that had gotten a brain tumor, so she was delayed. We had gotten our tickets and everything else, and then so we postponed her for a year, and she was well enough to go. And we went over, and we went to Norway and Sweden, and we were gone for a month. And the last week, we had called us Connie Richards. She's the English lady and her husband who run the 8th Air Force Historical Society, you know. So anyhow, we talked to her, and we took a boat over from Bergen in Norway to Newcastle, and she had routed us down into Bedford, and we were at the station, and this kind of a portly lady came in finally, and we were lost. And she said, "You look like a bunch of disgruntled Yanks to me," she said. And it was she, it was Connie. And she was the greatest. She took us under her wing, and they had arranged places for us to stay. And by this time, the girls had walked me to death till my knee was shot, you know. So she said, "You can't stay here. You're coming back home with me." So I stayed with her and her husband for 3 days. And they took us all around England and took us down to that, what is the name of that, Manderley, where that cemetery is? I think it's Manderley.
Madly.
Well, it's Air Force Cemetery, the beautiful big.
Oh, in Cambridge, there's one outside of Duxford in Cambridgeshire.
Well, I thought it was Manderley.
Huge.
Anyhow, they had a beautiful chapel, you know, small one. Up in the ceiling, they had all the routes of different flights that we made all around, and they had a wall of missing there that was quite impressive. And I got looking through that, and one of my buddies from North White Plains here was on there. And so we've remained friends. I haven't gone back to England again, but we correspond and call once in a while. Connie and her husband are still doing her thing. And she wound up to be the noted authority on Glenn Miller, because he was on our base. He took off from our base when he got lost that time. And so people come to see her and get memorabilia, and they have their own private museum on the house, just a garage with quite a few of these things and other memorabilia. And she's quite a gal. But her husband, he was a Ford dealer, I think, And they took us all around. I was telling Alan this, some of the farms this gal was brought up around that area, and we'd gone by this place, and you ever remember seeing that Harriet, James Harriet, that All Things Great and Small, that was an English veterinarian, you know, kind of formally dressed even, you know. And funny how we got by, there was this farmer leaning on a fence, you know, on the gate, and we stopped the car, and Connie said, "Hey, Phil, don't you know me?" He came over to the Connie, looked, he says, "Connie, by God," he said, "you're getting a bit moldy, aren't you?" They'd gone to school together, I guess, you know. So,
I think you were thinking of Runnymede.
huh?
Runnymede. Does that ring a bell with
No,
you? Was that
I think it started with an M, by God.
An M?
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I'm not too sure. There's no place called Manly.
I can't think of it offhand. It's
Okay, well, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
the interview.
Well,